What is going on, guys? I know it's been a few weeks. Let's get into it. We're going to talk about the draft. Let's go. So, if you're new, my name is Keith. I do Black Quarterback Series, and today we're going to talk about some of the draft prospects, some what I like and what I don't like, and then we'll get into possibly at the end some things that I saw this week, if I have the chance. So let's get started with who else we should get started with. Caleb Williams. So Caleb Williams, I don't know why I don't have his measurables right here, but his career from Oklahoma to LSU, well not LSU, USC, 93 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, 109.3 passer rating, right? Um, so he's by far and away the best player in this draft by scouts and analysts, and he's been the best player for like the last 2 years, right? To me, he just doesn't. To me, he doesn't have basketball, not basketball. Um, he doesn't have football character. To, to me, he doesn't have enough football character. To me, he seems a little emotional. Now he's young. I get that he's young, right? It just tends to me like he tends to go into the tank a little bit. It's kind of like Cam when he first came into the league and how he would fall all over himself and all this other BS when he first started. But then as he got older, he stopped doing all that. So Caleb could mature into that, but I'm not necessarily sure if he will ever be any different. So his comps, Kyler Murray. All this I'm getting from NFL.com. His comps is Kyler Murray. I can see the Kyler Murray. I've heard people compare him to Pat. I can see the Pat Mahomes as well. Like just an immense talent and putting in the right situation, he could be absolutely spectacular. So I see all these. So I'm gonna put him. I don't put him on the screen, but I'm gonna be reading from my laptop. Some of their strengths and weaknesses. So if you see me looking down, that's what that's for. So some of Caleb's strengths, got him from NFL.com, link will be in the description. Forced to keep his team in games with high end production and did so. I agree. That USC team was terrible defensively. And that's just the way the culture is coached. You know, Riley doesn't have a defensive acumen like that. So he was put in positions that he shouldn't have been in, um, which led to them not winning as much. And, you know, it's kind of like averaging 40 on a team that ain't very good. You know, that tends to be what happens. Better consistency projected with pro targets who separate. I've heard this before. Another basketball is like, well, he doesn't really fit in the college game because he's a more ISO scorer, and the program is more tailored to the ISO scores. So I can see him being at the pro, especially with Keenan Allen and some of those boys that's in Chicago with him. I could see how he could be projected as a better pro, but um, you played at USC with Lincoln Riley. Like how much more offense do you want him to give you? You know what I mean? So rapid fire transition from fake to throws on RPOs. He's a young guy, grew up in the RPO culture. Like I'm not surprised with that. Puts enough pace on the ball to challenge safeties to a variety of spots. He's an elite athlete. That's what, you know. Those are things that he's supposed to do. Rare talent to feel pressure, escapes, and extend plays. In 2024, you have to have your guy extend plays and just be an overall athlete. But some of the weaknesses: adverse to play, throw and catch football on schedule. He is not right now, and you take it with a grain of salt. You know, this is just my projections. I can see him being, you know, the typical he struggles under center. You know, they always say that when the guy played in more of an open type of offense. I can see him struggling with playing in a like an offense. But he's gonna be in Chicago and they probably just gonna let him rip. So I don't really see that being a problem the first year. The second year that'll definitely be a problem. Eyes can become sticky and sluggish working through progressions. Definitely he's going to be one of those if I don't see my first one, I'm gone type players. And he'll grow out of that. Lamar grew out of that and became a proficient passer. So I don't expect that to be an issue. I don't expect that to be an issue at all. Hero ball mentality creates indecisiveness and inconsistent decision making. I think that just comes from him feeling like he has to make every single play. So I think you get with NFL players, they're gonna be like, chill, you don't have to make every play. He'll get around NFL talent, NFL coaching. I think he'll be fine in that sense. And so those are just some of the weaknesses, and I'll put them all on the screen. Those are just some that I wanted to go through, but I don't know. The thing with Caleb for me, and this is all personal, the thing for me when it comes to Caleb is his mentality. Is he gonna have the mentality of an NFL quarterback? Now you could be like, Keith, you don't know what you're talking about. You barely watch college. You only blah blah blah. Like, but from what I've seen and what I've read and it's just some things I don't know if he really has football character. It remains to be seen. So next we have Michael Penix Jr. So his negatives are more realistic than Caleb's negatives, really, because I think, like, if you have to, my gut tells me Caleb is going to be fine, whether he's going to be in the league for a while. So Michael Penix, though, is very concerning to me. Two ACL tears, a shoulder clavicle fracture, and an AC joint separation. Ew. You know what I mean? These are major concerns. These are major concerns. Also, he's a little older, so you don't want to sit him. So it's like wherever he goes, he has to play right then and there, right? So, fifth-year senior, 6'3", 218 pounds. Obviously that tells you why he was a fifth-year senior. He had 3 season-ending injuries. He had 3 season-ending injuries, but does that change his perception, right? So with fifth-year seniors, I'm like, why are you a fifth-year senior? Why did it take you so long? Why did it take you so long? You know what I mean? So that's a negative there. But him being a fifth-year senior, I think, has no bearing on where he should be drafted, because the guy has an arm. Every throw that I saw looked exactly the same, whether he was off platform, whether he was running this way and this way, this way. And he's a better athlete than people give him credit for, which is why he ran the 40. He looked really good in his pro day, just showing people that he's an athlete. But the injury concerns are always going to haunt him, just like it did Deshaun, which is why I think Deshaun Watson dropped in the draft, until he proves that the injury concerns are not a big deal. So 96 touchdowns, 34 interceptions, threw for over 13,000 yards in college. He's not the most mobile guy, but he can move. He's a more mobile. Not this is not the comp, but he's what's the name? I'm forgetting our brother name, who's been a career backup, but he's a pocket passer where he can move, right? So his NFL comp is Tua. Now, when I saw Tua, I was like, why is he Tua? Probably because the injury concerns and because he's left-handed. Really no other reason as to why he's being compared to Tua, right? Because I think he's a little more pro-ready than Tua is. And I think Michael is a little more talented than Tua is. You put Michael in a situation, which is why I think he's going to go. Well, nah. I don't know. If he goes to Washington, I don't think that would be a good decision for them. I think Washington's to take the other guy we'll talk about a little later. But Michael Penix needs to go to a place that's already ready for him. Now, I don't know what that is. I haven't looked at the draft boards. I don't even have a mock for the quarterbacks yet. But he needs to go to a place where he can be successful. Well, you can say that about anybody. But he needs to go to a place where they're ready to win. I think New England will be a good place for him, even though there's not much talent there. But I think under that New England structure, I think he could be successful. The Vikings, I don't know if they would have to trade up. I think he could go to the Vikings and pair up with Justin Jeffries. That would be crazy, considering they need a quarterback now. But I think they would have to trade up. So I don't know. I think he will be fine. I don't see him setting the world on fire, but I do see, after injuries, If he can get all the injury concerns are behind him. He said he hadn't even had like an ankle injury in high school. So like it's crazy how the injury bug will just bite you like that. But if he can stay healthy, he'll be fine. So let's get into the strengths and weaknesses. So he possesses immense hands to control the football. Yeah, the tape I watched, every throw looks the same, and he just has good control of the football. Sees pressure creeping up pre-snap and gets himself protected. Didn't really from the tape I watched, didn't really see that to have an opinion on that. Makes sudden transitions from his drop to his release. Every throw looks the same. I keep harping on that. Every throw looks the same. Wrist flick sends it 50 yards without much effort. Yes, he has that. He has that Lamar Jackson flick of the wrist where it's that cool look, that thing. Sacked just 31 times over 1,759 dropbacks. I don't think that's a him thing. I think he had a good offensive line thing. So, but yeah. So those are some of the strengths, but some of the weaknesses, like I said, he suffered 3 season-ending injuries, 2 ACLs, and a shoulder and major surgery injury. Those are huge. Plummet. Consistent what? Production. Oh. Production consistently plummets when forced to throw outside the numbers. That was a knock on Lamar as well, that he can't throw out the numbers, blah, blah, blah. I think that to me, that's not a really huge thing. You can throw outside the numbers, but if you can't throw inside the numbers, you're not going to move the chains either. So I feel like that's one of those things that can be learned. And with him being left-handed, it's very unorthodox, so I think he'll be okay. He'll be playing with NFL receivers, so I think he'll be fine. Post 20 touchdowns, 19 interceptions over 11 games in the 2023 season. Don't really have an opinion on that. I'm not sure why that's really a weakness. I guess they're saying he's not productive. So, but that's the risk you take when you're taking these fifth-year seniors. So, which is why I'm saying he needs to go to a ready now situation. If I'm Washington or if I'm Chicago or I'm like, what's another team up there? Even if I'm New England, I'm really thinking about it. Do I really want to take Michael Penix? He's a pocket passer. I wrote on my list, mobile pocket passer. Also, there's this thing about him being under center. I talked about that with Caleb. Don't think that's a big deal. Most teams do not run. They don't really do under center like that much anyway. So, yeah, that's my opinion on Michael Penix. So, I'm really excited about this one. Because I think this guy is going to be like polarizing regardless of where he goes, and I think he's going to go to Washington. Very polarizing. He's going to be what Lamar is now, right? I could see this guy winning or at least being in contention for MVP in year 2. Depending on what Washington does, because I fully expect Washington to take him. Jaden Daniels. 6'4", 210, 89 touchdowns, 20 interceptions, 158.4 passer rating. Man, the dude is special. Is the reason he won the Heisman. To me, from what I've seen, he's the most talented out of the crop. But he's also the most raw as well. So you say Kesey won a Heisman, but you look at him, he's kind of raw. But he's immensely talented. I think, like I said, I think he can be Lamar. In that he would be in that DMV area with Lamar too, so he would have that going on. Like, he's just, I think, and this might just be me wishing, I think he built the play up there. The offensive line is not going to be very good. They're not going to have much talent. They need a mobile quarterback because they're not going to have much talent. And they just need a guy to tread water for them until they can build the team that Magic and everybody wants to build there. So, but the negatives for me with Jaden as that are not negatives with me with Lamar is we saw Lamar take a Louisville team that had no business even contending Saw him take them to bowl games as he won the Heisman. Jaden didn't win anything as far as like bowl games or anything. Now, I'm gonna vet that for myself before I like nail down that statement. But you got to be in the college. If you got you got Michael Neighbor, you got Malik Neighbors, and you got Brian Thomas Jr. You got to make something shake. You can't not make the playoff or be in contention for the playoff. Like, you got probably the second best receiver in this draft, and you got another great receiver. You gotta win. You gotta win. To me, that's a little bit of a knock on him. You gotta win more. You gotta win more. So, like I said, I could see him being in MVP talks by year 2 or year 3. That's how talented he is, depending on what Washington can get, because I think he's going to. He's just built like the guys I like to watch. So I love Jaden Daniels. I don't really have nothing negative. If the only negative things I will say was it his talent that made him look good, or was it him that looked good? It remains to be seen. We're gonna have the same conversation that we had with Lamar. We're gonna have those same conversations with Daniels. So if he goes to New England, woof. And so let's get to some of the strengths and weaknesses on NFL.com. So, strength game is marketed by command of the field and football intelligence. Of course, he's a football genius. He made it this far. You got to be smart some type of way, right? Recognizes pre-snap pressures and has planned to encounter it. That's the difference between mobile quarterbacks back then and mobile quarterbacks now. Mobile quarterbacks now know how to, I need to get out of here now. You know, they see Lamar, they saw Cam, you know what I mean? They saw Mike. Just the game is so much better now. So I'm not surprised. Gets everyone on the same page with setting up protections. So these are strengths. I remember a time when we would never see guys like this. These be their strengths, their mind, and how they operate games. It's great to see that's one of his strengths. Has made footwork a priority during his career. Also, another thing I love to see with Lamar, he's guy from football, the quarterback school. He calls Lamar's, I think he calls it footsie or something like that, where he get this click. If I can find it, I'll show you. But Lamar tends to click his back feet, and it's not a normal football motion. But if you got a better football motion, you can throw the ball better. So I love to see that. And so some of his weaknesses, the normal. Slender frame will lead to durability concerns. I can see him getting hurt in Washington because they have nothing. But hopefully that's not a big deal for him. That's really something that I'm really concerned about. Lacks zip, creates danger for himself outside the numbers. I really have not much to say about that. I feel like that's something you can learn to not do. Below average push and placement of deep balls, so he's not like a deep ball thrower. But Tom Brady made his money off deke and dunks. Peyton Manning made his money off deke and dunks, and they had nowhere near the athleticism that this guy has. So has a tendency to fade off of fade throws, leaving them short. And this is gonna sound stupid. Just don't do that. Just don't do that. But I feel like he does that when pressure. He does that a lot with pressure. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing Jaden Daniels. He's probably my favorite rookie coming out of this draft. And so somebody that we're not talking about, and nobody in really talking about, and I expect him to move up draft boards before the draft gets here. Jordan Travis, the quarterback out of FSU, who got hurt, and which led to them not making the college football playoff. He was, before the ankle injury, he was 20-2 last season. If he kept playing at that pace, he might be the Heisman Trophy winner, not Jaden. So in his career, he was 66 touchdowns, 20 interceptions. So I expect him to move up. It was just an ankle injury. I expect him to get over the ankle injury. But when I was watching him, so I can get a feel for how he is, I see a more talented, smaller Geno Smith. Like, as soon as I watched him, Geno kept popping out to me. And I normally go with my gut. So I don't necessarily see him being a starter. Maybe I hope he's a starter. He might shock some people in some camps and win a job or take somebody. He might do the Russell Wilson route, but Jordan Travis is a guy to look for in this draft. I'm looking forward to seeing who drafts him. I wouldn't be surprised. It's saying that like he could be a backup. He could be a backup, but I don't see him being a backup. I see him going in the second or third round, maybe even the first. He might be one of those shocker picks. So yeah. So that's pretty much all the guys they did. Like that's my draft. Those are my draft breakdowns. Let me know if you want me to look into any other players and give some opinions on any other players. And I'm gonna talk to you guys later. Peace.